Hey guys, welcome back to the Mandalorian reviews. Good to see y'all. And Brian, congrats on the new job. Magistrate, huh?
It's actually High Magistrate.
Oh, that's badass. I didn't know you got a promotion.
I did not. I just had a very, very large joint.
Yeah, that checks out.
Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and watching TV and movies. I am your host, the Mayor Jeff Hornacek. This is our review of Season 3, Episode 1 of The Mandalorian, entitled The Apostate. I am joined, as always, by the mad scientist, Brian Banner, and the American hero, Nate Thurmond, to review this, as we do all of our television episodes, using the 4 Bro 4 Squad criteria, which is the acting, the story, our favorite scene, and then any theories and questions going forward. Guys, one of our favorite shows is back. I think the rest of the world kind of shares in that sentiment with us. What do we think? Let's start off with the acting. Nate, we'll throw it to you first. Not actually a lot in terms of like performance in this one. A lot of table setting though, and then a few familiar characters. So how did the acting or cast hold up?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing when I was just kind of going through my mental Rolodex earlier, trying to get ready for the pod. But one of the ones that stood out and a staple of Mandalorian is Carl Weathers as Grief Karga, and I loved his presence in this and like them establishing him in like this role and like how well respected and how melded into this role he is now. I just thought it was really good glue for everything, and one of the first place that Mando goes back to sees an old friend. And yeah, I totally bought in on what he was selling. So, and then yeah, I mean everything else was pretty standard. We had Mando, we had Grogu. They were doing their same old shit, but Weathers' performance really stood out to me.
Yeah, Mando and Grogu, we can get into probably later this season, like how I kind of feel like they just listened to fan demand and reunited them in ways that they probably shouldn't have for the story. But it does it's like comfort food having them be together in this show. And while I love Carl Weathers, for some reason, this is probably my own problem, not his. He still, to me, he feels like Carl Weathers, not like he's in the Star Wars universe. And that's probably my own problem, because he's doing a fine job. I'm just like, yeah, that's Apollo Creed.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. They get stuck in like your own head, and you're just like, I can't get over this hurdle.
All I see is chubs.
Chubs.
That's what
all I see. This is going to fit right in here, so I'm going to skip up to a question real quick. How much time has passed from like the first season / the first episode to now? Because the planet of Navarro has come a long way in a very short time. It went from like scum of the earth, like all the crime is happening here, to none of the crime is happening here, and we're also eco-friendly.
They got a pretty big PPP loan when COVID hit, so they put it to good use. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm also having trouble, obviously, like, and again, we can get into this in a later episode once we know more about the plot, but this is very, very closely tied into the Book of Boba Fett. In fact, I would say that's definitely necessary viewing to get this show. And so the time period of Grogu with Luke, I'm still a little fuzzy on, like, how long was he there?
Yeah, I feel like that would have been months, if not a year. So it is kind of hard to keep up with at this point. And yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you say it's very closely tied into Book of Boba Fett or Mando 2.5, if that's what you want to call it.
It's Mando 2.5. That's what it is. It's like we don't have enough story here to make a full Mando season, but we also don't have enough story here to make Boba Fett. So let's just put them together and see if we can get away with it. And you didn't.
One other thing I'll say just in terms of acting. So the pirates in this episode, I really like the look of them, but I am getting like, they look like the villain in Galaxy Quest to me. And
I don't understand the problem.
I can't remember the name, but are these supposed to be the same pirates from Clone Wars that we see all the time? They're not the Pikes. I know it's like
they may be like adjacent because I do get
Yeah.
that same feel that you're talking about. Who's the main one? Banner in
Hondo.
Hondo. Yeah,
I love
Hondo.
Hondo.
I don't think this is part of Hondo's group. I think this may be a rival gang of Hondo.
This
Hondo's
group
awesome.
This group seems way less competent than Hondo's group.
I wasn't familiar with their like kingpin guy, whoever he was. I forgot his name.
The ghillie suit
The
guy.
He looked like
green-
Davy Jones in a ghillie suit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Davy Jones showing up for paintball, taking it way too seriously.
Can we give a shout out to my alligator turtle dinosaur guy there? How badass was he?
We'll get there.
Oh yeah, we will.
We'll get there.
Okay.
In just a sec.
I got one more thing to say, and
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm coming in hot on the first episode of the season. I'm over Baby Yoda. I'm over Grogu and his antics.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like he's too much of a fucking baby.
They're
I
trying
guess.
too hard to.
Yeah,
get
they're
cuteness.
trying too hard. They're just shoving him down our throat. Like, oh look, he can still grab the little candies with the Force, and then he also just loves these little Babu Freight guys, which I didn't hate that part, but I don't know, just all of it encompassing. I'm kind of getting over Grogu. They need to show me something more.
Last thing I'll say with acting cast is Katie Sackhoff as Bo-Katan. I'm very brief appearance in this episode, but where we find her very broken and upset, I'm kind of excited about. I think this is going to be an interesting character arc for her, and in theories and questions, I'll get into where I think her role is going to match up with Din. But from what I remember from Clone Wars, she always seemed like she was one bad day away from like just fucking losing her shit, and it seems like that bad day happened.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Losing the dark saber. Yeah, pushed her over the edge.
Yeah. All right, on to the story. So all that IMDb and the TV Time app gives us is this for the plot synopsis. It says, The Mandalorian begins an important journey. And really, in terms of plot here, I think they're just laying the foundation for what's going to happen this season. Basically, Din is on a quest to redeem himself for taking off his helmet after he narked on himself for doing that. And to do so, he has to go bathe in the, I don't know the exact name of the waters, but
The lakes in the mines of Mandalore or something like that.
Which he's not even sure
Mandalore
if they
Tennis
exist
and
yet.
Spa Club.
There you go.
There.
Members only, but he does have a guest pass for 3 days. So he has to go bathe in those. And I'm assuming the way that the Darksaber is referenced at the end, we're setting up for a potential Mandalorian civil war. But as far as plot, not much here, really just kind of getting our character, I think, where he needs to go for the rest of the season. So, Brian, what do you think about the story?
It was fine. Like you said, they're just setting the table for this entire season. I think it would have been a lot better although it would have been worse if I hadn't seen Book of Boba. The Book of Boba Fett just fucks this whole thing. Because
How so?
if you haven't seen Book of Boba Fett, you're going from Grogu leaving with Luke, and then all of a sudden he's just back hanging out with Mando with no explanation.
Yeah, real quick, this is my own fault again, but on the like recap thing that they do at the beginning of the episode, did they show clips from Book of Boba Fett, or was it just from Mandalorian to like catch us up? Like,
I actually don't know if I watched that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might have skipped through that if I'm gonna be honest with you.
okay, I usually try to watch it at least like when a new season starts up.
Yeah.
Because even though I've seen every episode, I'm like, okay, but what the fuck happened at the end? And I can't remember if they showed like the big fight on Tatooine and him and Grogu, because obviously he shows back up in the Naboo Starfighter, which I love.
Mhm.
That Amy Sedaris' character gave him, but I don't know if they are like counting that as part of the recap.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he gets that ship in Book of Boba Fett as well.
I believe so.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
remember there's an entire episode of just him, and then like at the end Boba Fett like
No,
pops
Boba
his
Fett
head.
doesn't even show up. It's Finnick.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
one episode where he doesn't show up, and then there's another one where I think what you're thinking of, Jeff, where he's like in it for like 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the original question. It was fine. They did a lot of table setting. I like that we know where we're going now. I also liked. It doesn't. Cara Dune being in it doesn't move the needle one way or the other for me. But I do like how they explained her away. I thought that was good. It was clever. It was seamless. Yeah, that all makes sense.
Mhm.
Especially with all the controversy with that character and the actress and everything.
Yeah. No, that was fine with me, that one sentence. And I think when they brought Grief Karga back, I was wondering I still think he'll pop up again later in this season, but that was at least like covered the bases of like, well, why wouldn't Mando just go ask Grief for help? Like, all right, here you go. We got a fucking episode where that happened. You cool, fans?
Yeah.
Shut up and sit down. Nate, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same thing as Banner. It was a good setup episode. It gave us some things to chew on and some things that we're looking forward to. I love that they're going through the effort of going back and getting IG-11 and trying to reboot him.
Definite Terminator vibes, right? When he's like crawling
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. They tried to reboot him back, but since his programming was so far off from what a normal droid of that nature would be, they couldn't get it back there. But so obviously that's kind of the main thing that sets him off into the next journey. And I mean, this is kind of a theory and question thing, but do we know where he's going right now specifically, or is he just going to look for this and we didn't?
Is he going to Mandalore itself?
Well,
I don't know if he's going to Mandalore or if he gathering a team. So maybe he'll end up back recruiting some people from Boba Fett, or Cobb Vanth is still alive out on Tatooine. So maybe he's going to.
We could get Cobb Vanth in the later rounds of the draft for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed something again, but what does he need a team for? Doesn't he just have to go to the spa and then he's good?
Well, he wants. I mean, he doesn't. I don't think he's going to Mandalore until he gets IG-11 up and running, because he wants him for navigation and help and all that kind of stuff. So
sure.
I just don't know where he's leaving now to find that transponder or transmitter, whatever it needs to go in him to make him work. That's where he's going right now. I just don't know if we knew where he was going specifically.
Got it. And did he just go ask Bo-Katan? Because he was like, "Hey, can you fix my droid?"
I'm gonna be honest.
I think he was trying to recruit Bo-Katan to be on his team, to help him navigate Mandalore. Because I don't know how much time he actually specifically spent on Mandalore in his life, and obviously we know Bo-Katan grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that all makes sense to me.
Yep.
Again, story was light here, but it set up the dominoes to fall.
For sure.
All right, best scene. I'm gonna have to jump in here first. I love a good spaceship battle. I feel like they've been kind of rare since the OG trilogy in Star Wars. Not rare, but like I can never get enough of them. Although Clone Wars had a decent amount of them, and the one with Mando and the pirates in this one I thought was fucking awesome. First off, he's in a Naboo starfighter, which is one of my favorite ships in Star Wars. So easy to maneuver, so fast, and then flying through those asteroids and basically just dogfighting and killing those guys was awesome. Even when it ended with Davy Jones, 0 calories. At him. That was my favorite scene, just because space battle, and I thought it looked awesome, man. Like that, we've always said this for a TV show, especially the way they turn around these seasons. I was very impressed with the CGI.
Yeah, that one they use like the asteroid belt or whatever they're in very well, using it to disguise his ship and moving and navigating throughout like the crags and the canyons of those and popping out randomly. And like the explosion when he kills the guy behind the big asteroid, you don't really see it, but it's kind of like cool. Secretive. He's back behind there. I thought they did a really good job of that. And then I thought it was a cool ending scene whenever he's like, okay, fuck, I'm kind of caught. He flips it over, goes into hyperdrive, and
this is a teaching moment, Grogu.
Yeah, Banner, I was vibed flying through the asteroids in Attack of the Clones when Obi-Wan and Jango have that little chasing each other. Is that the same scene where he uses those like sound bombs?
Yeah, like the little sonic like boom things. Just pulverizes everything in a football field length around you.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great scene. It's something that we haven't seen. Like we've seen star battles before or space battles before, but this was kind of a new take on it, if you will.
And it was a fun, like small scale one. It wasn't like the fate of the galaxies on the line, but it was just interesting to see him fighting these guys who you knew were basically like waiting at the edge of the atmosphere on that planet the second he leaves, trying to jump him.
Yeah.
So, Banner, what was your best scene?
Stuff.
My best scene is the opening scene. I love a good misdirection. I will say they had me fooled. I thought that we had a flashback. We were going back to when Din Djarin first took the creed of the Mandalore. And then obviously it wasn't, and he shows up in the new Naboo fighter and just fucks up that Alaturtlesaurus.
Alaturtlesaurus, I love that.
That thing, it was. I was like laughing because when that thing attacked, it was like they were having a barbecue and a few guys' jobs. It was like, move the grills. Like we've been smoking this brisket for 12 hours. I don't want this guy to fuck it up. But that thing was interesting, and seeing all those Mandalorians attack it, you could tell like the concept art for that. They were like, this is how you fucking open season 3 of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
especially in a not a story-driven episode.
Right. I don't know who's dressing some of those Mandalorians, but like the paint jobs on their helmets, fashion emergency.
They need to get a little more uniform.
For real. They honestly look like the Little Giants, like when they have their first practice, and like everyone has different colored jerseys and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nate, best scene.
I'm gonna unapologetically pick the same one Banner did. I knew he was going to, and usually I'll try and if someone picks mine, I'll try and fit in another one as like honorable mention. Now, that was definitely my favorite, and me and Banner talked off pod about it. And yeah, it was great because open up and we're like, oh shit, is this like when Mando gets his helmet when he takes the oath and everything? And even up until the last second, until you figure out that Mando is going to fly in the Naboo fighter. And Miss Thurman actually pointed this out because he's saying, I will never take my helmet, and then like the person, I can't remember her name, is giving the speech, like cuts him off. He's like, he never said it. He never said he won't take it off.
That's true.
Thought it was a flashback. Then it comes in like, oh fuck, this is real time.
Psych.
But yeah,
it was back on the high five.
Nope, not this time.
Sucker.
But yeah, it was super well done. Really great intro to the season. And then that kind of goes into the cave scene where he's talking to her and basically going through the process of saying, hey, if I do this, and like, you can't go back there. And he's like, but if I did, and he drops the piece of gem or glass or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, then technically I would be able to. And she sits there for like 10 seconds like, fuck, you got me. Okay, this is the way. This is the way.
Last thing I'll say before we move on to the end, the theories and questions is, first off, I think we can all agree the end credits to Mandalorian are some of, if not the best end credits to anything ever, where it shows like basically like murals of the things from the episode. And in the opening scene, I was already thinking to myself, like, dude, this is going to look fucking sick in the end credits when they show like the paintings of this. I'm sure that you can commission those or like buy them online, but like that would be badass to like sift through those throughout the show and pick like one or two for your man cave.
God.
I'm Googling that right now.
Those are Christmas presents for you guys. I'll look.
Know what I'm doing for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Theories and questions. I don't have much of note here. I have two questions and one theory, and one Banner already talked about. So I'll ask my first question, which this is a really non-important one. The Babu Frick guys. Was one of those guys actually Babu Frick, or were they just his same species?
I was going to ask that exact same question. Because time-wise, it very easily could be, right?
Sure. We don't know how long they live for, This is, 40 years before maybe a little bit less, before he shows up in Last Jedi?
Yeah. I think 40 is a good estimate.
And then my other one, and then I just have one theory that I'll get at the end. But speaking of Cobb Vanth, so I'm trying to remember where things left off with Cad Bane, but he is confirmed alive. Or are we
Cad Bane is dead.
Yeah, whenever you said Cobb Vanth is alive earlier, I was
it was him and Cad Bane that squared off, right? And we don't.
So him and Cad Bane squared off at Freedom Planet or Freedom City or whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah.
And he lost the gun shoot. Cad Bane just fucking shot him in the chest. Then at the end of Boba Fett killed Cad Bane.
Yeah.
Because obviously they had history when Boba Fett was a kid during the Clone Wars. Then there was an end credit scene to the last episode of Boba Fett where you see Cobb Vanth in the Bacta tank.
That's right.
That's seemingly saying Cobb Vanth is still alive. He's just on the DL right now.
God, there was a lot of Bacta tank in Boba Fett. Not that I think about it. It was like half the show was people in a Bacta tank.
Well, and not only that, but half the show is the fucking Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's right. I'm remembering that now because it went to the tank, and I was like, Boba Fett wouldn't be in there. And then like you look at it, like, oh, okay.
I don't know. Boba Fett just fucking loves it. He might not even. Oh, I stubbed my toe. Bacta tank. Like that's not what it's for.
It's just like his standard bath now.
These are expensive, dude.
Throw a little Dove in there. Soap me up.
You think Boba Fett's a bath bomb guy?
Back to bomb guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
This
sure.
one is Peach. All right, I only had one theory, but it's not a big one at the end. Nate, what do you got?
I really don't have much either. I do have this one. I can probably look this up, but it's been so long since season 2. I've kind of forgot. Where is Moff Gideon? What's his deal? Do they like? Is he like in a prison somewhere now, or do they have him captured?
So Cara Dune took
God,
him
I
to the
loved him.
New Republic, and he is in prison of some sort.
Okay, I want him back.
I feel like they really underutilized him in the first 2 seasons.
For sure.
And did we realize that like the stormtroopers that he had were just like dudes who were like, "Hey, bro, even though the Empire's done, like we'll still fucking hang out and help you."
Yeah.
Or is it like remnants of the Empire?
I think it is yes to both of those.
It's like little pockets.
Yeah, I think that they know the Empire has fallen, but also these guys, this is
They
the
like
only...
refuse to actually like admit that they.
Yeah, and they don't know what else to do. Like, okay, my country has fallen, essentially. My leadership has fallen, so what do I do? Well, just next man up. I'll just do what they say. I mean, it's 3 squares a day.
Maybe you can finally write that screenplay you've been putting off.
Maybe. All right,
Damn.
I've got a prediction and a theory.
Let's hear it.
Or maybe they're both theories or maybe both predictions. I'm not sure. First one, I think we are going to get Ezra Bridger from Rebels in this season.
I'm pissed. I haven't seen Rebels yet. You know, I just finished Clone Wars and I'm almost done with Bad Batch. But it sucks because Rebels, timeline-wise, is like right there with this, and that makes me want to see it even worse.
Yes.
That would be awesome. Because
I have stuff to back that up. What were you going to say, Nate?
Well, sorry.
I was just going to say that would be awesome because I think it would be an easy segue into introducing another character into live action that a lot of people have been waiting for. Back to when Ahsoka was in the episode of Mando, and now I'm blanking on his name. I can't even.
Well, I will say Jon Favreau said in an interview that this series ties very closely into the Ahsoka series that we're getting, which I don't know what that means, but
that would make sense. Banner, who am I thinking of?
Who? Kanan?
No, the blue
I don't
guy.
know who you're thinking of. The blue guy, Cad Bane?
No,
what blue guy?
The one of the in Rebels, like the most evil guy.
Thrawn? Admiral Thrawn?
Admiral Thrawn. Yes, thank you.
Love it. Have they have cast him right in real life?
Allegedly.
Oh, okay. I was about to say something, but it's a spoiler.
So it's actually Maz Mikkel's brother, I believe, is the voice actor, and there's a strong push or strong evidence that he has made the jump to live action as well. Which I like. Cool. I like that they're doing that. They're giving the voice actors a chance to do live action.
And in the case of Bo-Katan, luckily they like modeled her Clone Wars character to look like her, because if she was like a 7'2", black guy, it'd be a little bit harder.
Be a little different.
I will give your evidence of how Ahsoka Tano is going to be connected to this season of Mandalorian. I know, Jeff, you haven't seen Rebels, but the space whales that we saw in this episode, I believe they're called Purgils. Ezra Bridger has a strong connection to creatures or animals. I think they are showing that Grogu has a similar connection, and I think he is going to come and recruit and or borrow Grogu for some time. Maybe Mando goes with them to help Ahsoka possibly fight Admiral Thrawn. And this is Disney's way of shoving baby Grogu or baby Yoda down our throats. He has been in every live action show that we've had. Not that that's a long list, but
yeah.
Why would they take him out of that?
Right. Well, the thing that I'll say, we've been talking about this since the beginning, is unfortunately there is a expiration date on Grogu because he is not referenced or even in the original trilogy. So one way or another, no one obviously wants to see him die. Correct. Sorry. Yep. One way or another, no one wants to see him die, but
something's got to happen.
Something's got to happen.
Wait, hold on. Was he in Obi-Wan?
No.
Oh.
Okay. Caught ya.
Gotcha.
Damn. Almost. I knew as I was saying it, I was wrong, but I was already committed.
In my head, for some reason, Obi-Wan is a movie. I don't know why. It's obviously
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And the timeline of when that one happens compared to this one, I could argue this all day long. Cycle would be proud of me.
But great call out on the space whales. Great
Rebels
call.
is next on my list. You guys know I've been plowing through the animated Star
Dude,
Wars.
you did some fucking work, and I'm very
Yeah.
proud of you.
With your guys' support, I would have been able to do it. All right, my theory actually is pretty inconsequential, and it's so obvious. I was just going to say that the Mandalorian Civil War will be, the two factions will be Mando with, unfortunately, Bo-Katan's like band members who left her, and then her with like some stragglers trying to fight him. Because the way he left, she was basically like, "Good luck, bro. Fuck you. Suck my dick." Like she was so upset that he still had the Darksaber.
And he can't because he can't take his helmet off.
Correct. So she's obviously pissed, and they're going to be the two sides, I think. And I actually don't even think that's much of a theory, because I think in the trailer that we got, it pretty much shows them fighting each other, if I remember right.
It appeared that way, if I
Yeah.
remember. I've got one other prediction.
Lay it on
Go
me.
for it. I'm all out.
The series is called The Mandalorian, correct?
I think so.
Okay.
Who even knows?
Okay. I think we all assume that the Mandalorian is Din Djarin, whatever. But what if this is actually Grogu's story of him becoming a foundling and a Mandalorian himself? And it's not actually a story about Din Djarin, but it's the story about
Whoa.
Grogu
I don't
becoming a Mandalorian. I'm not saying I want it, but
think they would do
it's
that,
the first. It's the first
No.
episode. We got to hit for the fences.
I don't think so. Sorry. It's a big swing.
Hey, I appreciate the balls to actually throw that.
Mando is teaching him how to fly his ship, and as a Mandalorian, you need to be able to navigate space. I mean, the pieces are there. It's just a matter if we put them together.
Let's leave them apart.
Okay.
All right, anything else before we let the people go?
I'm all set. I'm excited though. There's a lot of potential here.
There's a lot of potential, but they got to show me something.
Yeah, good finale. Didn't blow its load. Didn't get me like super excited for the season, but I think my baseline anticipation each week for the show is enough for it to, get me through.
For sure.
All right, for the American hero Nate Thurmond and the mad scientist Brian Banner, or I guess High Magistrate Brian Banner. We'll have to figure out what you want your official title to be.
Yeah, it's negotiations.
The problem is I'm the mayor, which feels like it's a step below magistrate, and obviously we can't have you be ranked ahead of me. It just won't. I won't allow.
Well, I'm High Magistrate, so it's 2 layers.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that is how the depth chart works.
Hmm.
We have been the Bro Force Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. We'll be here for every episode of Mandalorian Season 3. Please follow us on Twitter at Bro Force Squad. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music. Anywhere you find your podcast, type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words, and check out everything we do on our website, broforcesquad.com. Till next time, we need to put this bath bomb in both the Bacta tank and the hot springs on Mandalore.
Just get it ready for Mando when he shows up.
Dip your toe in first. Make sure the temp's satisfactory.
It's all about customer service. You want repeat customers. So when you go the extra mile.
I wonder if the Mandalore spa has happy endings.
I'd be disappointed if it didn't.
Would you have to do like different happy endings for different species?
Absolutely. If I have 6 dicks, I need a different package then.
And that's more expensive, obviously.
Yeah, you pay per dick.
Need the 6 dick package, please.
So there was some talk of that, but like all the other elements of that are like the Illuminati sending him away and like everything. I mean, again, Marvel doesn't adapt to anything directly, but it seems like the only part of that we have is him going to Sakaar again.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. I'm very confused by that. And maybe is this a detriment to the show where, and maybe it's not if they bring it up later on in the show, but if he's gone now for the rest of the series, we've now spent 5 minutes talking about that as opposed to this actual show, which isn't good.
Yeah. Which I understand whenever you were saying, like, how is he going to be in 9 episodes? Because that's a good point now with the ending of this one, which I really hadn't thought about. Like, he's billed to be in 9 episodes, and now he's traveling space and time. So it's going to be interesting how they do piece him back in.
I need him back on Earth because I really want him to interact with Eric Bana and his Hulk. It's Secret Wars. And that can't happen if he's back on Sakaar, you know? Plus, you know Lou Ferrigno's going to come back for that, too.
Lou Ferrigno would come back for anything.
Yeah, what's he doing? I Love You Man 2? I don't think so.
I met him once at Comic-Con.
You did?
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I waved at him, and his little, like, people around him, like, jumped in front of me, like, no pictures, no pictures. I was like, honestly, I don't want a picture with you, so.
And I was just, like...
I literally was waving to him, like, oh, look,
yeah,
just
a
wave.
Psychos, man.
Yeah.
All right, here's the questions.
So, my really only question that I have, we kind of know where this is going, the show, to an extent, is how long until we get either Abomination or Tim Roth back?
Next episode?
I would say next episode.
Yeah.
So
do you have something to the contrary on that?
Your client.
Well, I'm just saying, did that underground fight happen prior to them meeting, or is that like leaked like TMZ style? It was 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, and I think that's the big question. I still think he'll be in the next episode, though.
Or at least Wong will be explaining what he did. And even in Shang-Chi, you don't really understand why Wong did what he did, you know?
They've integrated him too much into the story, and I think he's too integral to where they won't have him in the next one. He's too important to the plot at this point.
Yeah, he's really the source of conflict as well.
But I agree that question, like, where's the timeline falling in and where was that video taken? That's very important. I need an answer quickly.
Because the other thing is, if it is like live and at least like the day of, we know that the Sicarian beacon that Banner responds to while he's in his Banner form in his sling, that's the post-credit scene to Shang-Chi. So he's either not Smart Hulk anymore when that happens, he's back on Earth as Banner, or again, this has all leaked like months after it actually happened, and he's already done that Zoom call with Captain Marvel and Shang-Chi.
And they could do it, but I just feel like it would take too much unnecessary explaining if that was like an old video. And I think the reason for like the panic and everyone freaking out is because they saw the video, they went to a cell, they see he's not there in real time. So I think that is a new instance, and Wong has just been doing it for a while and taking him back to the ring every once in a while and fighting with him.
But see, then, why is Wong doing that? Like,
I have no idea. And it's funny because, like, even in Shang-Chi, like, he's very, like, cordial with him as he's talking to him, and he, like, takes him back there willingly as he opens the portal, and so, I mean, that's been a mystery for a while.
And now I'm wondering in No Way Home when Wong leaves, like, is that where he's going to grab Abomination and take him to this tournament?
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe.
All right, I have one small thing. Do you guys have anything else?
Yeah, go for it. I've got another one.
I've got one question.
All right, Banner, why don't you go?
So when are we going to get Charlie Cox, and how is he going to play into this whole game?
Is there a chance he is the prosecution and she's the defending attorney?
Possibly, but he's traditionally a defense attorney, right? If in fact Daredevil the series is in the same
which we still don't know.
Realm or universe, you know, that's a whole nother slew of questions that we could get into. But yeah, I'm just wondering because originally I thought maybe he would be going up against her as the prosecution, but obviously that's not the case now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So currently he's listed as in 7 episodes, which is kind of, I don't know if I like this. No way! He's listed in 7 episodes, so he's going to be in next episode.
Okay, now I feel like they just listed him as 9, and this person is just trimming the number every time he doesn't show up in an episode.
See, and that's the thing. I don't know how they quantify this. Are the people like updating at IMDb? Like, do they have insider information or what? Because I don't know.
I don't see any way Daredevil's in 7, even if he's like the attorney she's going against in the case. I don't see how he's in 7 episodes.
Yeah, I mean this would turn into Daredevil's show, kind of like Book of Boba Fett turned into Mandalorian show.
Yeah, because at this point, if Abomination is still out there and they introduce Charlie Cox, I feel like they're gonna have to like put a lot of time into like explaining his role, explaining a little bit of his background, and introducing him separately from like Jin and him actually like battling in court because Abomination is still at large. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I could go down.
And if that's the case, there is no way we're getting Hulk in 7. I mean, it just it's basically like a split show. It'd be like half on Sakaar, half.
Yeah. We'll see.
Last one I had, Jessica Jones is going to show up in this as a private investigator that I think Jen will hire to sort of look into what actually happened with Emil Blonsky, maybe to do things a little bit more unethically than Jen is willing or able to do. And I only wish William Hurt were still alive because I feel like General Ross would be great in this series and could actually have a lot to do as the person being sort of pressed against the coals, like what actually happened when he was originally given the super soldier serum in Blonsky, and like what were your motives then, and him trying to cover his tracks, but unfortunately he's not with us any longer. So that role can be played by maybe Jessica Jones ends up tracking down Samuel Stearns.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing. And I believe Kristen Ritter is coming back as well as Jessica Jones. I don't know if she'll use her powers in this, but certainly as a PI, that would be fun.
Even if she doesn't use her powers, I think the character itself is compelling enough where I'm okay with that. Is it confirmed that Kristen Ritter came back?
There's been heavy rumors.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Because if she came back, then I would make a strong argument that Daredevil and her shows and the Defenders are, in fact, in the MCU proper.
I do think, though, I read an article that Marvel said they are recasting Iron Fist. Obviously, Finn Jones was lamented as like the worst actor of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that.
He sucks.
I can still, yeah, I'm fine with that.
So we'll see. And I think we might even get Jessica Jones next episode.
Maybe she uses Jessica Jones to find Abomination.
Possibly.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Again, maybe I don't know. The next episode will be interesting. I think we're going to get some.
The big thing here is IMDb is fucking us up because we don't know if the episode counts are right or not.
Well, we're going to learn next episode if we can trust it or not, because if Daredevil doesn't show up, then it's full of shit.
And it says 6 episodes next week.
Yeah,
right.
We'll have a good way of tracking that.
We're on to you,
IMDb.
IMDb.
We should screenshot it right now so we have proof that it says 7.
You fucking liars.
Yeah, you're full of shit. All right, Nate, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I got 2. Hold on. Yeah, 2 more things. One's a small thing. I'll mention at the end. But it's the theory. I think we'll probably get Madam Hydra back in this at some point. Ooh. And maybe even if it's just like a little after credit scene, but I'm getting the vibe that she may have some role in like the DODC that's running like the cube where Abomination is, and she may be working with like Holloway, and like there's a bigger conspiracy behind all this, and she's kind of pulling the strings for Holloway. I don't think he's like the head guy behind whatever's going on with this and why they really want Jen to be the attorney for Abomination. And we haven't seen much of Madam Hydra. She really hasn't made her huge breakthrough debut. We've seen her in a little bit of Falcon and Winter Soldier. She was actually in the episodes, wasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, briefly.
And then a cut scene in Black Widow. So, and they're
that'd be great too, because I definitely think she wants to recruit Abomination for the Thunderbolts.
Exactly. So I think it sets up perfectly for this. And I don't really have too much to connect here. It's just that feeling. Like I feel like her and Holloway, like the same like sinister person that could be working together. So I feel there's some connection there in that. And then my last question, which is kind of just a stupid question. I don't get it. Why does Jen's hair go like from curly to straight when she's She-Hulk? Is there anything behind that?
No idea.
It's got more body.
Yeah, it's just more aesthetically pleasing in her Hulk form. I don't know.
Uses a different conditioner. In the 2008,
she looks like Lou Ferrigno if it was still like all frizzy.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, in the 08, I was just gonna say in the 08 Hulk, and again the CG technology was probably the main reason for this, but The Edward Norton Hulk had quite different hair from his version of Banner.
Yeah.
He had like a comb over, sort of, and then as he was just Edward Norton.
But
why isn't Liv Tyler coming back? I just thought of that. As Betty Ross.
I don't know. I would love that.
Great question.
Maybe hold out hope. I doubt it, but the Russo didn't bring her back for Endgame, and not very likely.
That's all
All right, anything you guys have to leave the people with?
Overall, just a lot happier where this episode's going from the first one. So really jumping on board. Glad to kind of see the bigger picture now. And like I mentioned earlier, like it's 9 episodes. Kind of feels like it may have been 8, and they kind of split this or like added the preface to it or the
Especially
origin.
because this episode was so short.
Yeah,
the next episode was like 45
that
minutes.
was so weird. Which, the origin story is definitely needed. But now seeing the bigger picture, I'm really liking where this is going. Just a few minor things that are kind of rubbing me the wrong way, like the fourth wall and other things we mentioned. But overall, it took a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think our main complaints and we liked it overall, but our main complaints with the first episode were we just weren't sure what was happening tonally, but if they stick with it and have a level of consistency, then we can buy in, and that's, I think, basically what we got in episode 2.
Yep.
Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, this is the show. This is turning out to be the show I wanted it to be more. Still pretty guarded based off just the fact that first episode and this episode do not mash up very well, in my opinion. But this episode, loved the character growth that we had. We started getting a lot more questions that seem answerable. And then it's just pointing us in this downward trajectory. Also, there's a guy named Drew Matthews that's in 2 episodes. Thought it was Dave Matthews at first glance. Got really confused. Almost excited and then disappointed.
What a roller
Referring
coaster
to
there.
Dennis Bukowski. I don't know that name, so if that means anything in the Marvel universe, I don't know.
To someone, it does.
Yeah,
To
probably.
new rock stars, it does. They'll tell us.
Yeah.
All right, for the American hero Nate Thurmond and our own mad scientist Brian Banner, I'm the Mayor Jeff Hornacek. We are the Bro Force Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking out our review of She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode 2. Join us for the rest of the series. In the interim, you can find us on Twitter at Bro Force Squad. If you type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, pretty much anywhere you find your podcast, you will find us and check out everything that we post on our website, broforcesquad.com. Till next time, I have to go on a treasure hunt here for the best place to poop.
Just
Banner, I
your
noticed
front-
you passed the restroom here.
Look, there's this tree that is amazing.
I just use your front yard.
Problem solved. He's
Good
probably
point.
the one suing us, even though we pay him.
Damn it, we are going to definitely lose that.
Can he do that?
Can he represent both sides? That way, he no matter what wins.
I feel like there's a conflict of interest, but I'm
I
not
know
a
you can do
lawyer.
it if you're a realtor.
Oh, well, that's true, which is pretty fucked up, but very legal.